Welcome everybody to episode 4 of the BCS podcast. We got a lot of Pirates baseball to discuss and everything. I'm Jake and I'm here with Peyton and Nate, and hopefully this won't be the hour 40-minute episode as before, but hopefully it's long enough where we can provide you guys with a lot of insightful information. And
You know
without
what that
further,
means?
what was
That
that?
means Peyton, you need to shut up more. That's what that
No,
means.
it's a collective effort. It's a
Oh
collective
no,
effort.
no, 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 it's definitely not.
But either way, this should be a fun episode. But to start, Pirates take so far 2 of the 3 games against the Dodgers. We still have game 3 for tonight as of this recording, since this was before game 3 has happened against the Dodgers. Peyton, you were actually at that game yesterday, Paul Skeens Day. So for the first 2 games, obviously there are a bunch of positives. I mean, we beat the Dodgers twice, but also there's still stuff that kind of concerns us a little bit. Why don't you talk about the positives and negatives so far?
Well, first of all, I have to say, just seeing Otani in person was a cool experience. And seeing him hit a 2-run homer and still getting the win was like eating my cake and getting it too. I mean, that was so awesome just to see him. His his approach at the plate is just excellent. Like, and I'll get into that, but I do want to tell you guys a little secret. I had the best ballpark hot dog yesterday that I've ever had. Okay, listen to this. It was small. It was a small hot dog. Like, I wish it was a little bigger, but
For 15
it
bucks,
was.
probably.
I want your no. I actually got them pretty. I actually saved some money too. I got 3 hot dogs for like $20, which is actually a good deal there. So it was the one near the corner bar. It was called Deli Dogs or whatever. Is I'm honestly gonna keep going there because I really liked it. But here I don't want to hear your guys' opinion on this. It was a hot dog with capicola on top, with a piece of capicola, coleslaw, and I think like crunched up like potato chips on top. And then I put ketchup on it because I put ketchup. I always put ketchup on my hot dog. It was so good. I didn't know what to expect, but it was amazing. Like, what do you guys think about the hot dog choice?
That's an interesting combination of toppings for
I agree.
sure.
But no, that's not for you. You guys wouldn't.
I
I
would
didn't think it
try
was
it
good.
aside from the
I've never
coleslaw.
tried it. Yeah, I gotta try it. I don't know. I don't want to make any predetermined kind of notions here, but coleslaw. I'm not the biggest fan of coleslaw, but maybe hey, with coleslaw, with some potato chips on a hot dog. I mean, it might just work out. It might just be my favorite hot dog combination ever. I
Try it
don't know.
out. It was called like the pit dog, or I don't even know why it was called that, but it was great.
Okay.
Anyway, Otani, what impressed me so much about him, seeing a guy in person like him is different than seeing it on TV. Like, what I really, really noticed, I mean, Skeens versus Otani, that was really power versus power. Otani, right, the first at bat, Skeens just blows him away. 101, 101, 101. Wow. But then the next at bat, Otani, because that's who he is, he makes an adjustment. He has a great at bat and he hits that 100 pitch is a bit elevated, hits it dead center. But what impresses me so much about Otani is his he swings so violently, yet he's in control. You know what I mean? And I think that's really hard for any hitter to do, is because sometimes they have to like control how hard they're swinging or how fast they're swinging, or they're more compact. He takes a big ass swing and he more often than not does not miss. And it's honestly, I think him and Judge have the 2 sweetest swings in the league. And it was just so cool seeing him in person. He's so wiry. What an athlete. Just so remarkable. So remarkable.
Yeah, that's really cool actually. That for going to the Skeens Day, you also get kind of a 2-for-1 almost with the Dodgers lineup with Betts, with Otani, with Freeman. I mean, and Will Smith. I mean, I mean that was a crazy adjustment because yeah, he was swinging and missing all those fastballs, Otani, but he makes that adjustment when it mattered most to get that 2-run homer. But like you mentioned, kind of you got to see Otani, do his thing, but Bucko wins. So it's all that
Yeah,
matters in
Skeens,
the end,
Skeens
right?
wasn't great by any means, but his not being great is still great. So And Edward Olivares made that big play in the 5th inning to keep the runner at third, and that kind of saved his outing. He's still not given up 4 or more runs in a game yet. So, and the bullpen, so Chapman was firing on all cylinders. He doesn't know where to throw the ball. He just throws. You never know where it's going. Grandal's back there. He's just flying around for his life, catching the ball up here, over there. I mean, it's Chapman. The Chapman experience is something else. Let me tell you, it's not easy. It's never easy.
Yeah, I mean whenever Chapman threw 104 yesterday while he pitched consecutive days. I mean, that's got to be the fastest pitch in Pirates history. Like it has to be. Like I don't think anyone's ever
Oh
thrown that.
yeah, I mean,
that's true. I'm surprised they didn't
Yeah.
say anything about that, like on the broadcast. Maybe they will today, or yeah, that had to have been.
Yeah.
What were
Yeah,
you
it was
gonna
kind of
say,
later in
Nate?
the games, so maybe they were trying to find it, but maybe kind of ran out of time there, like in going deep
Yeah.
into the history of Pirates baseball and miles per hour. I wonder how long they've been tracking that, how fast miles per hour on pitches.
I don't want to get too repetitive because we talked a little bit about this, but I do want to be a little more specific. As far as this bullpen goes right now that they sent Hernandez down, because for whatever reason, they did not want to use him. I don't know why. I like Hernandez.
I
I
do
think he
too.
showed a lot last
Yeah.
year, but I don't know. Maybe he's regressed. I don't know. But they don't have any lefties in this bullpen right now other than Chapman. And that's bad. You got to have at least 2 lefties in your pen that you can rely on. And Chapman isn't necessarily reliable. They're going to keep throwing him out there because his stuff is so good, and you paid him all that money. But I think it's time for Ben Cherington, and he's had success doing this. Even if he does this, maybe he gets 2 relievers. Like he either does like a mini trade, or where he gives up like, basically nothing for a guy, or go out and sign a free agent that's sitting out there. And because he's had success doing that. That happened with Ryan Baraki last year. And a couple years ago, I don't know if you remember this guy, Sam Howard. Do you guys remember him?
I
Yeah,
remember
Sam
Sam
And he
Howard.
came, we were like, who the heck is this guy? And he came out of nowhere and was excellent. You can find these diamonds in the rough. It's hard to find relievers, so sometimes you have to go and sign these like free agents in the middle of the season. And Sherrington's had success, for all of his faults, has had success doing that. And I don't trust the depth of this bullpen right now. I really don't. You're relying on Holderman, Chapman, Bednar. Stratton I like, but he's been completely overused. Mlodzinski to me doesn't look the same as last year for whatever reason. So a bullpen that we thought had depth, thanks to injuries and Chapman struggling and Bednar starting off bad, right? It's not that deep. So I'd like to see them go out and get a free agent or make a mini trade. Just get some depth.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, and like you mentioned, Peyton, yeah, Ben Cherington, for all his faults so far as Pirates general manager, he has been able to kind of find some diamonds in the rough, at least temporarily. Obviously, the Sam Howard in that instance kind of ran its course after, he was, really good for us. I mean, he wasn't great, but he was much better than you'd expect from someone, just coming off, free agency during the season. So I agree. And this bullpen, like we've been talking about this, I think, for a while now, thought to be a strength going into the year. It's become kind of an issue. And like you mentioned with Stratton, I do like Stratton too, but yeah, Ben Sheridan, Derek
Like he's
Shelton
out there every
always,
day.
Yeah.
yeah, he always goes to him. And with Jose Hernandez too, I agree. I like Jose Hernandez, and the rationale for not using him, I can't remember what game that was. But the rationale for not using Jose Hernandez was that I think it was in the Toronto game on Sunday. The rationale was that he hadn't pitched in like a week or something, so he wouldn't be fresh. Like that, well, like it's your job to like get him out there and then pitch him. Like why are you not pitching him? And there were plenty of situations. I mean, extra innings against the Blue Jays on Friday, where he could have been used in a spot like that. So I mean, the bullpen usage has been really questionable from Shelton, and just the performances haven't quite been there. But Bednar's been, lights out. I mean, for the past month now. I mean, you've seen his ERA. It's hard for a reliever. If you have a few bad outings, your ERA is going to balloon, and then it's hard to kind of get that down because you're only pitching one inning, every other day.
It's
But
slowly coming down though.
it's slowly, you can see it.
Slowly but
It's in the
surely.
fives now. It's
Yeah.
going down. It used to be, like 12 or something. So it's going down. So we like to see that. But yeah, I thought the Chapman outing yesterday was really good. He threw strikes. I mean, there was some arm side run on some of his 104s, but he didn't walk anybody. He gave up the Freddie Freeman hit was a slow roller up the middle. But other than that, and then he got the second. But other than that, I thought Chapman, threw strikes for the most part. Some of those 104s were a little bit outside, but for the most part, I thought it was one of his better outings, even though he gave up the run.
It's just always stressful with him. He's always putting runners on base. And you know what shocked me when I looked at when they showed his stats on the Jumbotron? And this isn't surprising because every time he's out there, there's runners on base. His ERA is like in the 4s, which isn't that good, but I mean, it's not the worst thing. But what's really bad, his whip was 1.9. It's 1.9 right now, 1.9. That means he's having at least 2 walks or hits per inning that he pitched, and he only pitches 1 inning. Like it's scary. It's just always a scary thing when he's out there.
Well,
it really
also
is.
another crazy thing about Chapman is going into yesterday, his opponent batting average was in the 180s. Yet his
no
ERA
one
was
can hit
high.
him.
And like you said, his whip is high. So obviously it's the walks that really have been taking a toll. But also, again, like you said about Mlodzinski, he was a guy that slowly but surely last year we put him in the more high leverage situations. Now it seems like he's the guy that's pitching whenever we're getting blown out or we're blowing out the other team, right? So it's kind of you want to see him back, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we have that same trust, and it makes sense. I mean, he hasn't been as effective in AAA. Whenever he got back from injury, his ERA was over 6, and it seems like we brought him up just solely based on last year's success at the MLB level, and unfortunately, it hasn't translated. But yeah, I mean, like with the bullpen, unfortunately, it seems like whenever our pitchers dominate, we can't hit, but whenever our hitting is all of a sudden has a great game, it seems like our pitching can't do the job. I mean, luckily we had 10 runs yesterday, but in a lot of games, if we would have only scored 5, like in one of those games in the Giants series, we would have lost. So I want to see kind of like both get put together, if that makes sense. I don't know what they need to tap into, but yeah, that's just kind of my takeaway about that. I don't know if you guys want to add anything on that.
Well, what you're saying is the dilemma that all mediocre teams face, and teams that don't end up in the postseason. You have to have a consistency of both, and that's how winning streaks start, and that's how you win 90, 85, 90 games. And that's what this, I don't think this team's good enough to do that yet. But to give this offense credit, and I know Nate and I have talked about this off the side. A lot of these times when they have these big run innings, they had the 7-run inning yesterday, right? And that was huge. But I had a feeling like Skeens isn't going to dominate them like Jones did. It's just not going to happen with that top 5 of their lineup. I knew they were going to chip away a little bit. So I kind of knew, look, we're going to have to, chip away, get 2 to 3 more runs in this game to really have a comfortable lead and actually have a solid chance of winning this game. Because we've seen where they've had these big innings and then do absolutely nothing the rest of the game and not add on. And then our bullpen comes in and blows it because our bullpen's not that effective and we didn't add on at all, or at least get a couple runs just for some insurance. And we saw that last night with some situational hitting. We had Nick Gonzalez had the sacrifice fly to get the 8th run. Then he had an RBI single. I forget how we got the 10th run, but
Hayes
how we got
got RBI.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, but
Hayes got an RBI single.
Who?
Hayes.
Okay, yeah. But we chipped away, added a few runs there, and that was big because they ended up scoring 6 runs.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I did like that. That was a big difference because That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, you got your 7 runs, but you just shut out the Dodgers, the night before. They're not going to stay at 0 runs, this game, and I thought there was an offensive explosion that might happen, and they did. They actually out-hit the Pirates 11-9, so it was kind of like a weird thing there where the Pirates. I always like it when a team gets, like, more runs than they have hits, because there's so many walks by the other team, but, so the Pirates had 10 runs on 9 hits, but yeah, like you mentioned, Peyton, it was good to see them add on. I thought, oh gosh, like some of the at bats, like the innings after they got those 7 runs against Johan Ramirez and Anthony Bonda, 2 Pirates legends of a couple years ago. I thought, oh crap, and then the Dodgers start getting some runs. Otani, Andy Pajes getting that home run. I was like, oh crap, the Dodgers might, we might be in for another Giants game here, but that wasn't the case. Nick Gonzalez has been a godsend for this team, to be honest. They're pretty average right offensively right now, but they would probably be very, very bad without Gonzalez driving in like 20 runs in like 20 games almost. He's driving in a run per game. It's so key for this team right now. And the bullpen wasn't great. Holderman was excellent to get that big out. It was kind of a stressful situation there. He got that big out, and then Bednar coming in to close it out. But back to Mlodzinski, he did have like he was really bad like his first few outings with the Pirates this year. Where obviously to start the year, he was injured a little. There was a little bit of injury, and so. But when he was active, I knew something was kind of up when he was like activated. They sent him down to the minors. That was kind of confusing to me because he was so good last year, like you guys detailed. But he came up and like you guys mentioned, he was kind of struggling at AAA. But when he came up, the first couple outings were not good. But then I thought the Toronto game, he really showed something. I mean, in extra innings on Friday, he did not give up, those runs. I mean, and he was pitching pretty effectively. I know the Blue Jays lineup right now is not hitting well at all. Their offense is just as bad, if not worse, than the Pirates right now. But I thought I saw some, and then yesterday, obviously, he gives up that run, but I think overall he's starting to look a little bit better. Maybe it was just a little bit of rust after kind of the injury and the late spring training kind of that he had going into the minors. But I think he will be when it's all said and done. Him and Bednar will be much better in terms of ERA, in terms of just looking at their performance. I think Bednar already is, but I think they will be key contributors for sure to this bullpen and ultimately get it back to at least the top half of baseball because it's there. The potential's there for sure.
Well, Bednar recently looks like he's back into form, hopefully. Like we haven't had any drama with him lately, like over the last several weeks. But like you make a good point because Bednar, right? Part of the reason why it really took him a while to get going up until now is because he had the injury in spring training. He really didn't have a spring training. And it's the same, I think it's the same thing for Mlodzinski. So we know the talent's there with Mlodzinski. It's just it might take him a while. So I think they're going to stick with him. We may have some bumps in the road, but I agree. I mean, we don't have any other choice but to stick with him because we really don't have anyone else with Moreta out for the year. Baraki's still injured. I really hope Baraki can come back. Like I'm praying, like please. I don't know who else we're missing. Might be another injury, but yeah, they're gonna stick with them. I 100% agree. They're gonna give him a chance.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, but Mlodzinski was a compensation first round pick by Charrington during his first draft of the Pirates. So I feel like they're going to be a little bit more lenient, as they should, right? He was really good last year. He's a fiery, competitive guy you can see on the mound every time he gets out of a jam or has a big inning. He's all fired up. I like that a lot. I mean, that shows a lot about the character of a pitcher, right? So as much as it's a little bit concerning, like you said, I mean, he didn't have much of a spring training. I think he'll be fine. I don't think sending him down is going to be the right move at this spot in the year. But I guess we'll have to see. But as we transition, we've got the Twin Series coming up after Pirates play their final game against the Dodgers as of this recording. And along that, we have a kind of a road trip in St. Louis and Colorado, I believe. So it'll be interesting. We're playing against a divisional opponent that has a very similar record as us. And we're playing against a team that hasn't been so great. And right now, as we stand, we're 29-32, one game out of a wild card spot, which is crazy. But there's not many National League teams with a winning record. So, what are your guys' expectations for not only the rest of the homestand, but this entire road trip? Where do you guys think we need to be to kind of be serious in this thing and trying to compete for a playoff spot?
Well, okay, so we have that's about 10 games, right? So because we took the series from the Dodgers, I don't think we win tonight, and I think we only take one from Minnesota. I keep my expectations low with this team, and the offense. You know, I think I'm excited to see what Henry. I assume he'll be back in the lineup tonight. Henry Davis, I think he's looking better. I think his at bats, you can definitely tell look better on his first game back. Sawinski, he came back up. Um,
It's because we had no
he
other
had
options in center field,
he
really.
had that homer, but yeah, they don't right. Michael A. Taylor's on paternity, and Bay is injured. So, but I think Henry Davis is going to get going. I think that'll help the offense a little bit. I'm cautiously optimistic about Henry Davis. You guys can touch upon that, but I think they go on the next 4 games are going to be a little rough. But I think they should take both series. They should take the St. Louis series and they should take the Colorado series. So they should be that would be they're 4-2 during that road trip. And then I say they're so they're 1-3. So they're 6-4. Or no, 1, 2.
5-5.
I can't do
Probably.
math.
Yeah.
They're 4-2 St. Louis, Colorado, and they're 1-3. That's 5.
Yeah, 5-5.
5-5. So they should at least be 500. Okay, you got to play 500 baseball. But I mean, I think they should at least win 5 games. But in reality, I'd probably like to see them win 6 or 7. Colorado, doesn't matter how bad of a team they have down there. It's tough to play in Colorado. It's anyone's game because that Rockies offense is a different animal. Despite how good our starting pitching is, it's a different animal down in that altitude. And then if our offense doesn't show up for some reason in Colorado, then we could be in trouble there. And then St. Louis is St. Louis. I don't care who they have, or if they're in a mediocre state. They have Arenado, Goldschmidt, and historically we never really play well at Busch Stadium. So they have to go at least 500. You have to ride this momentum of this Dodgers series. But the thing is with the Dodgers series, it's like this is now 3 years now we've dominated the Dodgers for whatever reason. In fact, we are the only team, and I saw this last night, we are the only team in baseball to have a winning record against them since 2022. We're 10-5. So I don't know why we have their number of all teams, but I'm not like getting all hype about it because we've seen this before. So
It's kind of like whenever Adam Dunn in 2011 was awful about like 150 something, but for some reason he was amazing against Clayton Kershaw that year, who won the Cy Young. It's like you just don't know. Baseball's crazy.
it's like Rowdy Tellez against Toronto.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, yeah, now that he's back in Pittsburgh and he's getting booed, he's going to do nothing again, which that's probably going to be the case. And he'll probably start tonight against Walker Buehler because he's a right-handed pitcher, and they don't think Olivares can hit righties, even though overall he's been pretty decent. So we're going to keep getting the Rowdy Tellez show.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts, Nate? What are your expectations for these 10 games or so?
Yeah, I think 6-4 is a good thing to aim for in this stretch. I know, like, if they go 5-5, it'll just kind of be, staying above water, just kind of doing what you've been doing because they've been playing 500 the past, 3 weeks now. The Minnesota series is a little bit worrisome just because they're playing the Yankees right now and they're getting destroyed by the Yankees. And they never beat. It's crazy. Speaking of domination, the Pirates dominating the Dodgers recently. The Yankees have absolutely owned the Twins for like the last 20 years. It's been just crazy how much the Twins have just put up no effort against the Yankees. But So I feel like they might come into the series, and they're a really streaky team. So I have no idea what to expect. They might, we might take 2 or 3. We might sweep them. I don't know. They might sweep us. I just don't know with the Twins because they went on that big losing streak to start the year, and then they won, 11, 12 in a row, and now they're kinda taking a little bit of a nosedive now, so I just don't know. Their offense has the potential to be really good. I think we all picked them to be at least, in the conversation to win the AL Central this year. We thought it was gonna be, one of the worst divisions in baseball, and it's actually they got 4 teams, I think, over 500 or at 500, and I think there's 4 teams over 500 in the National League as a whole, so it's kinda crazy, the AL Central, but I so I don't know what to expect from the Twins series, but yeah, in St. Louis, in Denver, I think you have to win 2 or 3 at least in each. I know, like you mentioned, Payne, it is the Rockies are a
Bless
much
you.
different team. Bless you. Much
Thank
different
you.
team in cores than on the road. They're just kind of pathetic on the road. But the Reds just went in and swept them. You have to at least win that series for sure. And then St. Louis, yeah, I just don't buy the Cardinals still. I just don't think it's sustainable. They're pitching pretty well right now, but you're relying on, Sonny Gray, who's gonna do Sonny Gray things. He's gonna be really good for them. But that's one guy, and I just don't think you're relying on Kyle Gibson, who outside of 1 year is, 4.80 ERA pitcher. Lance Lynn, who a couple years ago was lights out, but has really struggled the last couple years, and Miles Michaelis, who's a very average pitcher, and insert whoever else you want to in that fifth spot. So Steven Matz right now. So I just don't, and their offense has been really underwhelming. I know, Arenado, Goldschmidt, they're still there, but you have to kind of take care of business in that regard. If you want to, they're talking about trying to win this division, and they have the arms to do it. We've seen that, and you have to take care of business. And I just think overall, with the way the Cardinals are playing, I just think you have to take 2 or 3 from them, especially with if Skeens and Jones are going in those 2 games. Like, you have to win those 2 starts, obviously. So, I mean, I think 6-4 is a good thing to aim for sure. But I just don't know what to expect in this Minnesota series. It could go either way. Plus, they got, Pablo Lopez, right? They got Joe Ryan. They have some really good pitchers. I don't know if I assume Pablo Lopez is starting against us. I don't know if he's going today or not. But so I just don't know. The Twins are very up and down. I just think with their offense, their top 5 is really good actually. So just like the Dodgers is not on the same level, but their top 5 is pretty good. And Royce Lewis coming back now. He was
And that's a
just
big addition.
Yeah, yeah.
he is. I mean, he hits. I mean, I don't know how many. He has like 4 grand slams already. Hey, last year he was hitting all these
Clutch.
grand slams. He had so many homers. He's an electrifying player. They got to keep him healthy. But and Byron Buxton as well. But they're both healthy right now, so that should be a fun series though for sure.
I have one question for you guys.
Go
Is
for
my
it.
boy Liover Peguero, is he going to get a real chance? Or are they just bringing him up here just to fill a
Well,
spot?
I was shocked that he didn't start yesterday.
That's
I,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
Triolo, I know he hasn't played in a while, but against the lefty, I thought Peguero was going to play second. But I could see a scenario where I don't know if they would rest Hayes, but that's a possibility if they want to put Gonzalez at third, move Cruz back to short, and have Peguero at second. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to see him play because, I think
Please.
he should be playing shortstop right now on Cruz in right field, but that's just me. But I think a very likely possibility is that he's a shortstop next year. So I don't know.
I'm gonna have to start a campaign. Play Peguero. Like, this guy should have been on the opening day roster. I don't know what he's done in AAA, but I don't think he's been bad. From
He
what
hasn't
he had
shown
like,
as he hasn't shown enough power. That's just the only thing. Other than that, he's been hitting pretty well. He's
you know
batting,
what? The Pirates
anywhere
aren't
from
a power hitting
270 to
team.
290. He's been pretty good.
The Pirates aren't a power hitting team. Like, that's just not what they do. Peguero is a middle infielder. He's not really supposed to hit a bunch of power. But the guy is he's a professional hitter. He's always has good at bats. I mean, I know he didn't have the most amazing numbers last year, but just if you watch this guy from just the eye test, he passes the eye test. And I think that gets lost in baseball these days is the eye test. Everyone's just looking at analytics and numbers, and it's not all about that. Baseball's not all about analytics and numbers. It isn't. I mean, it is more and more, but you know, you have to look at the player and watch him with your own eyes to actually make and have an actual opinion about him.
Yeah, I mean, of all the rookie hitters we had last year, I thought he performed the best. Even if you just look at the
Yeah.
numbers, I mean, I thought he put up the best numbers out of all rookie hitters. And he definitely looked at least comfortable for sure. But I guess we'll see how much playing time he gets moving forward. But like you guys said, I mean, if we take 6 games, like going back to what we were talking about, if we take 6 of the 10 games, I mean, that sits us 1 game under 500 if we count the Dodgers game tonight. So that's good. That could put us very well in the wild card spot, depending on what everyone else does. And the Cardinals series is a huge series. They have almost an identical record as us. They're like very similar in the division, you know, and they've been on a little bit of a winning streak. If we can kind of slow down their momentum and win that series, I think that would be huge for us. And maybe the Cardinals go on a little downward spiral, and we can see kind of a bigger gap in between the division. I don't know, but I mean, other than the Brewers running away, I mean, it could be anyone's division at the end of the year. So, kind of hoping for better results. But you guys have anything else to add before we move on to our next topic?
Just looking up Liover Peguero's numbers here this year in AAA: 51 games, 272 average, only 2 homers, like you said, not a lot of pop, but 34 RBIs, which is
How many
really good.
games has he played?
51 games.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
You're
driving in
close
runs.
to 100 RBIs on average.
His on base is 341, and he still, even without a lot of power, still has a 728 OPS, 387 slugging. Like, this guy's a major league player. I don't know what else he has to prove. I mean, I know that's not amazing, but based on what he did we saw last year and what he's still doing in the minors, like Triolo, I don't know. He's been a little better the last like couple games, but I think there's just more of a higher ceiling with Peguero. And if they're really serious about winning, he should be getting more playing time. He really should be.
Nate, do you have anything else to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely like to see more power and you know, especially in AAA. But I'm not sure how the Indianapolis ballpark kind of plays. There's a lot of like hitters for AAA right now for the Pirates that weren't putting up like major offensive, you know, power numbers. So I don't know if it's maybe the ballpark, it might just be kind of a lack of enthusiasm really over Peguero. Maybe, you know, I should be up, you know, in the majors right now, and kind of maybe his head's not where it needs to be. Maybe, I mean, you can completely understand it based on the year he had last year. Probably the best, like you mentioned, Jake, of all the rookies for the Pirates last year. I just think, you know, the raw tools, he definitely has a higher ceiling than Triolo. But Triolo, you know, what we thought we were going to get was just a hitting, you know, machine, you know, with Triolo, mostly singles kind of hitter, but somebody who could kind of come up clutch, get on base and stuff. And he hasn't really done that. He's at about what he'd had in terms of bats last year, and he's down in basically everything except for the home run RBI slash line. Obviously, his average is way down, his OPS is way down, but he's a really good defender. Maybe, I mean, this front office and this staff prioritizes the craziest things. So they might just prioritize defense right now. And with Trullo, you know, he's an excellent defender. I mean, we didn't really lose much at all when Hayes went down in terms of defense. And that's crazy to say just because Hayes has been the best third baseman, I think, defensively in baseball the past few years. And Triolo was doing almost everything that Hayes was doing. He was playing really well. So, and they like his versatility. I think, you know, Peguero, I think he can play second for sure, and obviously short. But, you know, they like that Triolo can play first a little bit, second, third when need be, probably. So, I would like to see Peguero get at bats. It's just hard right now because you have, you know, 4 infielders right now for 3 spots. Or wait, you have Cruz, Hayes, or 5. I mean, 5 for 3 spots, and with Gonzalez as well. And you can't take Gonzalez out of the lineup, you know, especially against a lefty. And that's really the only time they'd be playing Peguero right now is against a lefty. And they want Cruz in against righties all the time, which you can understand. And Hayes in there. It's just we have a lot of righties.
Too many infielders, not enough outfielders. That's the problem.
Yeah, we have a lot of righty hitters too. I think I know we might touch on this a little later, but in terms of the trade deadline, if something we need to we might want to attack if we're contenders, if we're in a position to try to contend this year, which I mean, obviously we all hope they should be. I think a lefty bat is really a need, probably an outfielder for sure. But the problem is right now, a lot of the kind of outfield bats available looks like might be right-handed, right? I mean, people were saying like Marte or whatever. I mean, also like Josh Bell, we mentioned him a little bit at first base. He could be, a reunion. But someone like Brett Rooker, I was looking at too. He's such an underrated player,
Years of
and
control
he
too.
just rakes. Yeah, he has a lot of control. His salary is not it's not expensive at all, and he
Are the
just
A's willing
rakes.
to deal him though? Because he's under control.
I
Do they want to build
Depends how
around
old he
him?
is, I'd say. Because I feel
I
like
think
if he's
I think
over
he
30,
has.
they may want to trade him while he's still really good before he
Is he
declines.
that
Yeah.
old?
I don't know. I don't know for sure. I feel like he's
He was
think-
a
pushing
rookie.
that.
Yeah, I know, but he was like bouncing around in like the kind of like a minors for a little bit, but I think he's kind of upper 20s. The only problem is like he's a righty bat and he's not a great outfielder, so they DH Brent Rooker a lot, and we got DH settled right now with Kutch, obviously. So I
Kutch
don't
can
know.
play
It'll
the
be
outfield.
interesting.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
I mean,
I want bats. We need bats. We just need
Yeah.
more hitters, professional hitters, guys who are going to hit for high average. And I know we lack power, but that's not how the Pirates are going to win games. It's with getting on base and hitting for high average. And that's what we thought we were going to get with Triolo, and he hasn't done that. Sawinski, we thought he was going to provide the power. He hasn't done that. And he obviously always hits for low average. And that's why I was hoping they'd keep Sawinski down and bring up Matt Gorski, because him and Sawinski are the same player with the strikeouts. But I think Gorski has a much better swing, and I think he actually has more power than Sawinski. So I feel like he's Sawinski 2.0. And I think he has 40 home run potential. I mean, I don't know if he'd come up and be great right away, but maybe in July. By July, I'd like to see Peguero getting playing time, and I'd like to see Matt Gorski up here.
Oh, I would like to see Gorski a lot too, for sure. I mean, like you said, he has the power tools. It was really good 2 years ago.
So Nate, I really like your Brent Rooker suggestion, because I just looked him up. He's 29, so he's older, but he's still like basically under that rookie contract. He doesn't have arbitration yet. I think 2028 he's going to be a free agent. So that would be a perfect thing for the Pirates. They need outfielders. I know he's been a DH, but right now we're just looking for guys that are hitters, that are true major league hitters. We're still trying to really fill that lineup to have depth, and that bench to have depth. So, Brent Rooker's a guy with all the pitching prospects we have and waiting in the wings. You can give up. The only guy who I think I don't want to see them give up is Anthony Solometo, because I think he could be really special. But any of those other pitching prospects in our top 10, even Bubba Chandler, I think those guys, to go out and get a big bat that's either an outfielder / DH or a first baseman, I'd be willing to give up that bat, and for that bat, because that's what we need. We need more just true hitters, and to get a big bat like a Brent Rooker, because he was an all-star last year, and it's looking like he's going to be an all-star this year. So, and he's under control for many more years. And I know, Pete, we've mentioned, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on, after I'm done here, on who you'd like to see them get. I've heard like Luis Robert been thrown around, Pete Alonso been thrown around. I forget another big name. I had
Josh
it, now
Bell.
I forgot it. Yeah, Josh Bell, that was it. Like, yeah, those make sense for the Pirates, but financially they do not make sense. Bob Nutting is not going to pay those guys their contracts and trade for them. That's not going to happen. Brent Rooker, you're going to be paying him virtually nothing. The only thing you'd have to give up is probably 2 pretty top tier pitching prospects, because you're going to have to bid for Brent Rooker because of how he's under control.
Yeah, I mean, I see a very likely scenario where the Pirates may trade off guys that have just half a year left on their contract going into the deadline, but they acquire guys with multiple years of control. I can see a scenario where we trade Martin Perez, kind of struggled, has half a year. There's no commitment with him, but maybe we bring in a guy like I just wrote down Eric Fede from the White Sox. He has this year and next year left on his deal. He's been pitching pretty well. It seemed like he figured things out whenever he went to Korea. I think that's a very much likely scenario. And also something interesting that someone pointed out is a possibility of Cedric Mullins getting traded. He's been struggling a lot with the bat for the Orioles, and they have
Wow.
a lot of depth in the outfield. They have a lot of guys in their system. A guy like Heston Kjerstad, they might want to give more at bats. I could see a likely possibility of Cedric Mullins getting traded. And what I could see the Pirates may be doing is involving Chapman in that deal, which I know would seem crazy, but getting Cedric Mullins, he also has another year left of it on his kind of arbitration window. He's a guy that could just stay in center field. We don't have a guy that can play center field for a long, like Michael A. Taylor is going to be gone potentially during the season, definitely next season. Getting Cedric Mullins would get us a guy extra control, and the Orioles can kind of play their young guys more. Even though as important he is to that team, I think that's a possibility, and I could see it taking a guy like Chapman because I feel like they're not going to want to acquire prospects. I feel like they want to get guys that can help with their MLB team because they're a competitive team. So I feel like they would want to add another lefty arm with postseason experience. I don't know if we'd have to give up more than Chapman. I don't know if they would have to give up more than Mullins. I don't really know. Assuming we'd have to give more on our end, but I could that's kind of something just to keep your eye on. I know it doesn't seem likely, but you never know.
Honestly, that is not as far-fetched as it seems because Chapman, right? He's been struggling. If Nutting can dump that salary, they will. That Chapman salary. And for a team like Baltimore that's primed to go deep into the postseason, you need all the arms you can get, bullpen arms. So, and Chapman's been there and he's been in the postseason before. So, and then you get a guy like Cedric Mullins. I'm looking at his stats. The last 2 years, they've been above average, about nothing special, of average to above average. But you put his defense in center field, that would solve our center field problem. I mean, the thing is, he's been awful this year, really, really bad. But I could see maybe not even if it's Cedric Mullins, like I could see them dealing Chapman, but yet getting someone. But I think Chapman really has to perform though for him to have any value because even though 10, that 5-6 million teams might have to pay him 3 or whatever it might be, he has to have some value for us to get anything back for him. But I think there's a real chance, especially if we're around 500, the Pirates kind of buy and sell, do a little bit of both. I think it's
Kind of
a
what the
real
Rays did in
possibility.
2018.
Yeah. But like all of this is hypothetical because we really have to see how we're gonna do. Nate, we got to hear what you have to say.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. I like the idea of a Cedric Mullins for Chapman. It's hard because probably there would be like 3-4 million on Chapman's deal still. I don't think the Orioles are too concerned with that. To be honest, their payroll isn't really that high for them, and I know they can spend more for sure. I know like Cedric Mullins, it's an interesting. He has been better. I just don't think we are in a position to like acquire a bat who has more potential, but then like take away from a bullpen that's already lacking
That's true.
arms. Not even saying Chapman's any good right now. He's very average right now for us, but we just don't have the arms right now. And I was thinking like I do think they are gonna do some buying and selling. I think it's gonna happen. Kind of like you mentioned, Jake, the 2018 Rays for sure. I'm looking at Tommy Pham, and I think Tommy Pham's a really good option. It's not gonna require a lot to give
Ironically, the
away.
Rays acquired Pham in 2018 after they traded
Right,
Parker.
right,
Okay, you're
So
on to
right,
something.
yeah. Well, that was from that was from the Cardinals, right? They were
yeah,
their surplus of outfielders, but I like Tommy Pham. You're not gonna need to deal a lot to the White Sox. He's on a 1-year deal. It's not much money. He was really good. Like we mentioned, I think last episode, he was really good with the Diamondbacks in the playoffs last year. Really veteran presence, and he was got some big hits. And he brings a little bit of toughness. I think this team might lack. Not that toughness is required. To win in baseball, but it goes a little ways. We saw the Pirates had a little bit of toughness, when they were good, 2018 kind of in 2017, and we saw with the Reds kind of that. I like that. I like that from a team a little bit. Um, so I like Tommy Pham. I like Brent Rooker. We'd have to give up a lot probably just because of his very cheap contract and years of control and the numbers he's putting up. I mean, he's so under. Nobody talks about him, and he doesn't even have. I don't even know if he qualifies. Like he's had that few at bats, and he's driving in so many runs, and he has like 13, 14 homers. It's crazy what Brent Rooker's doing. I like the Josh Bell talk. I don't. It's just hard with the Pirates because like they would be trading, acquiring a bat, but you don't want to give up pitching, right? The Pirates don't want to give up pitching because they don't have much of it. Now you could say, they give up prospects. I just don't know if Ben Cherington is willing to do that right now. I don't know.
At
Solometo,
some
like you
point,
mentioned. Yeah, go ahead, Payne.
at some point you have to be aggressive, and it may not be this year, but by next year they have to be aggressive because like we talked about last episode, this is the Skeens window. The Skeens window is now open. So you can't be afraid to give up because our pitching staff, we have Jones, Skeens, Keller. Like those guys are set for some years now. So
Bailey Falter.
I see about 4 or 5 pitchers. What's that?
I said Bailey Falter too. He has some club control.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's hope he continues to be good. But that even adds to my point. So you have 4 or 5 guys in your top 10 of your top 30 prospects, right? You got to be willing to give up one or two, at least 1 or 2 of those guys to get, a bat or two here. They're going to have to do that at some point to really compete. And I don't know if that's this year. I don't think it has to necessarily have to be this year. As far as the Tommy Pham suggestion, he would be a rental only. So that would only happen if like we're like 8 to 10 games over 500. We're really in this thing, which I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't think that's going to happen by the trade deadline. So I think the best case scenario for the Pirates is they're kind of around 500 and they kind of do a little bit of buying and a little bit of selling, get rid of some of these contracts, some of these guys who we don't have under control for next year, and bring in some guys who would come into our lineup or come into our bullpen, but we'd have them under control for a couple more years. And but I don't see them going all in unless we're like really, really in it. Like we giving up those top pitching prospects, like I suggested. But I'm just saying at some point, Ben Cherington's going to have to, you can't just keep cycling these prospects because you have to go for it at some point because then it just becomes a whole circle and you never win. And that's kind of been the problem with the Pirates for 30 years now. So windows open.
Well, if we go back to those 4 pitchers you mentioned, all doing really well, why don't we go into our next kind of topic, All-Star weekend. It's kind of approaching, obviously not for a little bit, but it's going to be there eventually. So, or All-Star week, I should say, not All-Star weekend. Who do we think, though, on the Pirates is going to be an All-Star? Obviously, we're required to have one selection, but it feels like we have multiple guys that can make the All-Star team. Who do you guys think could be those guys?
Well, definitely not on the offense, really. The only guy on the offense I could say maybe has a chance, maybe. But because technically, yeah, he's first base, but you could put him in as a first baseman / outfielder is Connor Joe. But I think he's going to have to do a little more to get in. It's tough. It's really tough to make the All-Star team. Like, especially like there's those star players, right, that fill those roles automatically. Like even if they're having a bad year because it's fan voting. So I think it would be really cool to see Connor Joe. I don't see that happening. As far as the pitching, the pitching, I know we're going to have at least 2 pitchers, I think. We should at least have 2 pitchers make the All-Star team. I think you could make an argument for all 4 of our starting pitchers, even Bailey Falter. You can make an argument for him that he should be on the All-Star team. I don't think he will, because the All-Star game is a lot about, they want to get ratings, good ratings for this game, right? MLB. So they want to get the guys in the game and on these teams that are going to make headlines and, make the most noise, per se, with fans around the world and around the country. So I think Mitch Keller could, because of how good of a May he's had, could make it. But I think his April was too bad, because they want to have guys who had a great first month, great second month, that have been consistent. So I don't see Keller making it, and I don't see Falter making it, because no one really knows who he is. So I think it's going to be it could be Skeens and Jones. It could be both, but I think it's definitely one of those 2 guys. And I know Paul Skeens hasn't pitched a full season this year. Like, he wasn't here in April. He was here May 11th, right? But, he's one of the big names in the league right now. And I could see them putting him in, which would be kind of a surprise. But if he continues to be really good, they could put him in, because he's kind of becoming one of the stars of the league. And I definitely could see Jared Jones easily, if he continues to, because he's been so consistent. So, I mean, he's been there since opening day, and he's just been rocking and rolling. One other guy, well, you know what, Nate, I'll let you take it from here. I've said enough. I think I've made my case there.
You've made your case well, yes. Yeah, I also would like to see it would be really cool to see Connor Joe make the All-Star team. It's just, first base in the National League, it's very difficult to make it. Bryce Harper is probably going to start right now. He's been excellent. And Freddie Freeman's there, and there's so many Pete Alonso. There's so many first basemen in the National League. It's just unfortunate that that's the position where Connor Joe's playing. And I think you make a great point, Peyton, about the MLB and some of their priorities. They do want to get the ratings, so they want to get some of the players that are more well established, even if they're having maybe down years up to the point of the All-Star game. So, but I do think, in terms of the fan vote, I think Skeens is going to make it. I just think
They
a lot
don't
of
fan
fans.
vote for pitchers.
Yeah, they don't.
Oh, they
It's
don't.
selected by the MLB, so you never know.
Yeah.
Oh,
what
that
you're
would be
gonna
cool,
get.
though. That would be cool to see, because I think Skeens would get a lot of votes. But yeah, I think I mean, it really is take your pick in terms of the starting pitchers for the Pirates to be an all-star. You could have multiple. It's just hard because in the National League, there's been a lot of really good pitchers. I mean, there's been a lot of. I mean, Ranger Suarez looks, I mean, like the best pitcher in baseball right now. Zach Wheeler, right? I mean, every starter on the Phillies. So I don't know. I mean, Tyler Glass now. I mean, you can go down the list. So I think 2 should get to the All-Star game for the Pirates. I think it'll probably be Jones, and I don't know. I just don't know what they value. If they want innings, then Skeens isn't going to be there probably, but who knows? But we should, if we have All-Stars, if we have multiple, it's going to be starting pitchers. I just don't. And you could see Colin Holderman also. I mean, seriously, I mean, they might put him in. I mean, he's having a tremendous year. His ERA is below 1. It's just he's been so excellent. I know he's not a closer. It's not flashy, right, to these people watching baseball, but he's been one of the better setup guys in baseball
He should
this
be the setup
year for
guy on our
sure.
team.
And
He's like the
yeah,
7th inning guy.
yeah, I mean they played him. I think that he's been setting up a little bit more recently, but yeah, I agree. He should. I liked that yesterday when they had Chapman in the 7th and then him in the 8th. I think that's better. I think that's a better kind of thing with based on just what you're seeing right now and based on performance. But back to that, yeah, I would like to see Holderman in the All-Star game. I think he deserves it. But sometimes with these All-Star games, deserve it, or just like, the Hall of Fame or whatever, maybe he deserved it or whatever. But I don't know. So I would hope to see Colin Holderman and then at least one of the starting pitchers. But it would be cool if Bailey Falter got like a lot of votes, because you could argue he's been the best starting pitcher for the Pirates this year. I mean, he's gone the longest in his recently. I mean, he's going 8 innings. His ERA is even higher than it could be. Obviously, that first start, and also the one where he was into the 8th inning. I can't remember who that was against, but he gave up. Was it against the? I can't remember now, but he gave up that 3-run homer, and it kind of made his ERA going to balloon a little bit more. But he was into the
Falter's
8th
been
inning.
so efficient too.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
lifted
So
it's like below 1, I think, which is
Well,
crazy.
I actually want to touch on that. So I agree with who you guys think is going to make the All-Star game. I'm not going to say too much by other than saying I agree that they could make it. But let's go back to 2013. Obviously, Liriano and AJ Burnett were really good. They were really good for us. But who made the All-Star team out of all those starting pitchers? Jeff Locke. Look at now. Jared Jones has been awesome. Mitch Keller has been awesome. Skeens obviously is going to get consideration. Bailey Falter has the lowest ERA of all qualified starting pitchers for us this year.
yeah,
Let's make him the All-Star. That would be amazing. Everyone wanted him DFA, including all three of us. We all wanted him to be
Yeah.
DFA going into the year. And he has proven every single person wrong in the Pirates fan base.
Bro,
Let's
my
make him
ego's
the
gonna
All-Star.
take
That
such
would
a
be
massive
amazing.
hit.
If he has the lowest ERA on the team, or out of all the qualified starting pitchers going into the All-Star game, if he becomes the All-Star, that would just be amazing.
That would be
that would be
really
great.
cool.
It would be
But
awesome.
my ego would be in the tank.
it should already be in the tank. I mean, I'm we had to admit we were dead wrong on him. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's it's good to like admit that. I mean, it's great to see. I'm very happy that I think we all are that he's pitching the way he has. But
I have
we
a
were
feeling
all
he's
wrong.
gonna get hit around tonight, though.
Don't say
actually.
that.
I have
He's
a
going to go
feeling.
8 innings with a quality start.
Well, I
Gonna
mean,
happen.
even
I
if
don't
he doesn't have
know.
a great start, even if he doesn't have a great start tonight, what he's done, his body of work this year has been so much more than anyone. And even his biggest fans, if he has like a fan club, the Bailey Falter fan club before, going into this year, even his
That
biggest
should be a
fans, like,
Twitter account.
yeah,
The Falter fan club.
Bailey
Falter
Falter
fan
fan
account.
club. Yeah. But like going into the year, if you said by, the start of June, Bailey Falter has a 3.2 ERA or whatever he's at, like everyone would be like, you're crazy, you're insane. Like at best, I was thinking he could be maybe, 4.4 ERA kind of guy, just kind of an average starting pitcher, maybe at best. He doesn't strike out anyone. But he gets a lot of contact, and it's been really effective in terms of pitch count, right? He's working the counts. I mean, only a couple pitches really per batter in a lot of scenarios, and he's getting weak contact, and he's been really a godsend for this Pirates team. And it's just a shame. I know we're talking about All-Star voting, but it's a shame that this team isn't like at least like 6, 7, 8 games over 500 with the elite starting pitching we've gotten this year. It's been so really so good to see our starting pitching perform the way it has.
And to wrap up, I do want to say, like, after the Blue Jays series, like I said on Twitter, like, for this team to not be at 500, at least with the pitching they have, is no matter, despite the last 2 wins, like, we can't ignore the fact that them being under 500 with the starting pitching they've had, the 4 guys we were just talking about, like, that's a complete underachievement. It really is. And we don't ask for much, us Pirates fans. We really don't. But like, they should have easily been at 500 by now. And that's not asking for a lot, really. So they need to, they really do need to go on a little hot streak here to make up for this. And this offense under Nick Gonzalez carrying the offense right now has to, ride this starting pitching wave. We have to, because things can go south quick. You can have a couple injuries to the rotation and then boom, or a guy starts to struggle. So you have to take advantage of this starting pitching while it lasts. And I don't know if that offense will do that. And like we said last week, like we said this week, we will see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, Pirates baseball, you never know what you're going to get, but it has been a very cool year.
Can I have one more point on All-Star voting?
Go for it.
I forgot to mention this. there is a slight chance also if Brian Reynolds has a good month. Obviously, June he rakes. I know the numbers. I mean, he's driving a good amount of runs right now. The National League in terms of outfield is kind of thin. Teoscar Hernandez, who's had a good year, is considered like the third outfielder right now among some, or fourth outfielder. So I mean, Brian Reynolds could, if he has a good June, which he has like every year of his major league career, he just rakes in June. If he continues that this June, I think he could definitely, with already the production he's had, and usually he really struggles in April to May, and he's been pretty, average, I guess, by his standards. But if he can kind of turn it on in June a little bit, then he could kind of, I don't want to say sneak his way into it because that's kind of, you know, making it sound like he wasn't, playing well, but just maybe get some serious consideration for the All-Star game.
I did my first vote, and I actually had Reynolds in because I was like, there isn't really a lot here. Like, I was surprised. Do you think outfielders, so many outfielders, but Reynolds, I mean, his numbers aren't bad. They're about above average this year right now, and they've kind of fluctuated, but they're about above average. But for us Pirates fans, we kind of want him to just be a little more consistent. But there's no doubt when I talk about, a professional hitter and a guy who can, hit year in and year out at a pretty solid level at the major league level. He's not a superstar by any means. I mean, that's kind of the definition of Brian Reynolds, is a guy who can just he's a good hitter. He's gonna get his hits. He's gonna get his home runs. He'll be a little inconsistent, but he's a guy that you know what you're gonna get from him at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, like for this year, it hasn't been a very offensive friendly year. I mean, pitching has been dominating the entire year, so it kind of makes sense in that regard. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. That could very well happen, knowing the other outfielders in the National League. But now I guess it's time for us to transition a whole new sport, or not new sport, but a different sport. We've got a little bit of Steelers news. Cam Sutton has signed with the Steelers again. Obviously, he was a former Steeler, went to the Lions on a pretty decent contract, but had some trouble with the law, so he's no longer a Lion, and now he's with the Steelers. So honestly, it's not a big news, but I mean, with the lack of depth at the cornerback position, it's definitely something. So why don't you guys kind of give your takeaways about that just real briefly?
Well, I think it is kind of big news because um that slot corner position as after the draft, right? One of our biggest needs was slot corner because we have Jackson on the outside with Porter, but we did not have a slot corner. We don't know. We have some other guys that are going to be on the roster, are going to fight for roster position, but we don't really know what we're going to get from them. The kid from Purdue who got hurt last year, I don't have his name at the top of my head, and Darius Rush, I believe, is another guy.
I think it was
That's his
Corey
name.
Trice. Corey Trice was
Corey Trice, but there was this
Yeah,
guy
Corey
named
Trice.
Darius Rush too.
Yeah.
We don't really know what we're getting from them. So we needed a slot corner. Now, Cam Sutton was horrible. Now, this is just the football part of it. I'll get into the other part of it. From a football sense, right? Cam Sutton, the Lions signed him, gave him a bunch of money to be one of their top two corners on the outside. But when he was with the Steelers, he was never an outside corner. He was always a slot corner, and he was very good at being a slot corner. And so he goes to Detroit, gets all this money to be an outside corner. He was terrible. And the people, I see highlight reels of him just getting absolutely torched last year. But now the Steelers get a starting slot corner. They bring a guy they know they're familiar with as a football player. And obviously, by interviewing him, they felt comfortable enough with him as a person to keep him under control, to bring him back and fill in an important role for that defense. And I think and they got him pretty cheap because he wasn't going to get any money because obviously of what happened. And I do want to get into that. Some people are upset about it, but here's the thing. And this is the hard, cold truth about sports at the professional level, pretty much any sport, at the major level, whether it's MLB, NFL, especially the NFL, is that, look, if a team feels comfortable enough with a player where they don't think they're going to cause a cancer in the locker room, If that guy can play, you're going to be on the team. And that's how the Steelers have done it. We've seen it multiple times with AB because he was just that good. Tomlin was able to keep him under control for as long as he did. That was impressive. We saw it with Michael Vick and now Cam Sutton. So at the end of the day, in sports, in professional sports, it's about winning, and it's about the player on the field. As long as the organization thinks they can keep them in control, if they can play well enough, they're going to be in. And that's the hard, cold truth about it. I mean, what Sutton did was terrible, but that's the world we live in, and we just have to accept that.
Yeah, I agree, Peyton. I mean, I was just kind of surprised. Like, I wasn't really like when it like came out that he was like kind of like still like on the run or whatever from like law enforcement. I didn't like hear any updates other than like I knew he turned himself in, but I just thought it was like kind of like really soon to like I thought he might get signed by somebody, and at the veterans minimum, which he was signed at the veterans minimum, but I just didn't think it would be this soon. I don't know. It just because I thought it was more recent than it was. I guess it was in mid March. But yeah, I mean, if anybody can kind of stabilize a locker room with a lot of, you know, controversy, I don't know. Mike Tomlin's the guy, and we saw that with Antonio Brown. I mean, it goes down the list. Martavis Bryant. So, I mean, I
Now,
like the move. I like the move from a football standpoint for sure. Like you mentioned, he's an inside. He's a slot corner, and they were using him kind of out of position, the Lions, and he was really good. I was hoping the Steelers would be able to re-sign him in that position, definitely after last season, but they weren't able to. The Lions, it was like 3 for 33 or something. They gave him kind of some good money for slot corner, and I just always thought he was kind of a ball hawk with us. I thought he did a really good job with the Steelers, always pretty reliable. And so hopefully, definitely going into this off season and going into the 2024 season, corner and defensive backs were kind of a position of need outside of Minka Fitzpatrick and Joey Porter Jr. So really, I like the signing from a football standpoint. From a everything else standpoint, it's like Like a lot of with the Pirates too. We saw that this offseason signing a lot of people who their track records. It's a little bit mucky, but from a football standpoint, purely, I think it's a good move, and hopefully, he's changed, obviously for sure. And hopefully, Mike Tomlin can kind of take him under his wing, and the other guys, the other veterans. It's a veteran-laden team, so and maybe being familiar with the Steelers already, being familiar with all the guys in the locker room, can only kind of help Sutton kind of stabilize himself right now.
Yeah, I
I do.
mean, oh, sorry,
Go
Peyton,
ahead,
you can
Nate.
go.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so with a guy like Sutton grabbing him right now, it's like you said, vet minimum. This is a low risk, high reward situation. Obviously, that criminal is just recent past. It's nothing he had before then. So that's kind of like the risk. But at the same time, you're not fully committing to him. Like if we had him on the same deal as the Lions, that's more detrimental because even though all the money's not guaranteed, you don't want to be paying someone that's not on your team in a salary cap league. That's just not what you want to do. And for now, like say we would have to release him if he were to get in trouble again. It's just for the remainder of the year. It's not like we owe him all this money for how many years. But the reward is we're getting a guy that should, as of now, start day one. He's been in the system already. We know how to utilize him best, and I thought he played pretty decent with us. I mean, good enough to be a starting cornerback for sure at his worst. So, I don't think there's any problem with this at all as long as he can, just stay on the field and kind of improve on the field. Like not that he had any issues before, the recent occurrence, which just wasn't good. That's not a good thing to do. But other than that, I don't think there's been any problems. So hopefully this was just a one-time thing, and I'm hoping that he can clean up his act and be a reliable and positive force for our locker room for sure.
And I think to wrap up, um, I was talking about like how the cold truth of sports is that all teams are going to do what's best for the team as long as they can keep that guy under control, no matter what they did off the field. And the point I want to add to that is I hear people saying, "Oh, that's just the Steelers. The Steelers do that." And I don't always defend the Steelers organization, but in this instance, I am, because I feel like the Pirates would have done the same thing. The Steelers, it just is more notable because they're such a big brand. But I guarantee you, other NFL teams, if you look at the history over the last several years, they've done it. It's just how it is. So I don't want to hear this stuff about how it's just the Steelers. They're just a thug organization, and I completely disagree with that.
Oh no, I mean, you're absolutely right. It could definitely happen. It has happened for a bunch of different teams. So we're not the only one. It's just like you said, it's more notable because we're the Steelers. But yeah, no, I don't think there's gonna be any high risk doing this. So I'm all for it. I hope it works well, and I hope that Sutton, plays well and is better off the field for sure. All right, now we go to our last segment of the episode. Now, since I'm the host of this episode, you guys already know we're doing some trivia. I'm gonna I'm gonna test your guys' brain and knowledge about Pirates history. So this is called Guess Who. It's a little different from the last one, like we did with Pitt. This one, I have three guys. One from the 2010s that played for the Pirates, one in the 2000s that played for the Pirates, one from the 90s that played for the Pirates. I'm gonna give you guys 5 clues for each player, and whoever guesses the player correctly wins. So these are all going to be difficult. This isn't like Andrew McCutcheon of the 2010s, Jason Bay of the 2000s, Barry Bonds of the 90s. I'm making you guys have to think. You know what I mean? So what do you
Damn
guys
you.
want to go with first? Which decade do you guys want to guess first?
Doesn't matter. What 90s probably? We can just go in
Let's
order, I
just go
guess.
in order. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with
Yeah.
90s. Okay, so get your paper, pen out just so you guys have some ideas. Make sure you're not cheating. I don't want you guys looking up baseball
Oh, wait. So
reference.
I have a question. Is the rule like we can only make one guess? Do we have a limited amount of guesses, or how does that work?
Well, since I'm giving you 5 clues, just one guess. Have all the players you think could be it and guess your guy.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Wait, so could I look up baseball reference?
No, you cannot. No baseball reference. No, it's got to
Damn.
be inside your brain. Your brain has
All
to
right.
be is your only source
Nate,
of,
don't be cheating.
yep.
I'm not cheating. I'm not cheating. I got my paper. I got my
Yep.
pen here. I'm all
All right,
ready.
all right. All
All
right.
right. So the first guy we've got for the 90s, I'll start with the first clue. He played primarily third base. Played a little bit of second and first, but his main position he played a majority of the time was third base.
And you said he played a little second and first?
A little bit. That's just what it said he played on Baseball Reference, but he was a third baseman.
Okay.
The next clue is that he was the first overall pick in 1986. This could be a giveaway depending on what you guys know. He was the first overall pick. I'm not going to tell you what team. He was the first overall pick in 1986.
Wait. Oh, yeah, we don't know the team. Okay.
I'm not going to tell you the team. All right, for the third clue, he played baseball at Arkansas. That's where he got drafted #1 overall.
That doesn't help me at all.
Thinking maybe you guys were college guys.
I'm a big 1980s Arkansas savant, so
All right, well, clue number 4 is that he hit 30 homers in 1996, which was also his last season as a Pirate. And that was also the most homers he ever had in the season, was 30. And that was that year. All right, and my last clue, number 5, he was on all 3 playoff teams from 1990 to 1992. And obviously his last year was 1996, like I mentioned.
All right.
All right, take your time whenever you guys have a guy in mind. These are going to be tough. This isn't going to be easy. But this is honestly performance based. This is the easiest if you're looking at how good they were. This could be the easiest one.
Okay. I think I have mine.
All
I
right.
don't think it's right. I said Orlando Merced.
Orlando Merced. Who do you think, Peyton?
I don't think it's right. I knew.
I can't think of the guy's name, but it's like Jeff somebody.
Okay.
Jeff, I don't remember his name though. I know it's not
don't
Andy Van Slyke because he left. So he played third base. It was like
Yep.
Shit. Mm. J- Kent. Wasn't there a guy named Kent?
Jeff
Why is that
Kent.
Jeff Kent was a giant.
Jeff Kent.
It was a giant and
Yeah,
Dodger.
no,
Yeah,
not
I was gonna say.
Jeff. It's a short name, like Jay or Jeff or I don't know. I
Oh.
can't. I don't know.
You want me to
I
give
don't
you guys
know.
the
I
answer
don't know.
now?
I'm
Yeah.
definitely wrong because Merced was an outfielder, if I remember correctly now.
So I don't know how to score this because it was Jeff King. So do we give Peyton
I
half a
knew
point?
it. I knew it was a
Oh.
Jeff
Peyton half a point?
somebody.
I think he gets it.
Okay, so are we
I
saying
knew
half
it was
a
Jeff somebody.
are we saying half a point
I
for
knew
Peyton? Saying half a point for Peyton because you got the first name?
it. Jeff.
There you go,
Okay.
Jeff
Payne.
King.
That's what we'll do. Okay. So Peyton,
What?
you're
Yeah.
at Peyton, you're at
And he was drafted by the Pirates,
Oh.
right?
yes, he was.
In '86.
Wow, Jeff King.
Correct. Yeah, Jeff King. So Peyton, you have half a point right now. You're up half a point to nothing. All right. So you guys want to go to the
Point.
2000s?
Yes.
Okay. So the first clue of this player from the 2000s, he was drafted 8th overall in 2001.
By the Pirates.
He was drafted
Well,
8th
no, you can't
overall
say
in
that.
2001. Was it by the Pirates? Maybe.
Probably. I would say probably.
All right. For my second clue, he played baseball at Kent State. Golden
What are they? No,
Flashes.
they're the Golden.
Golden
what are
Flashes.
they called?
Yeah, the Golden Flash.
The Flashes. Kent State.
Yep. All right. Clue number 3. Despite hitting 31 homers and batting .440 in his last season at Kent State, while also being a closer for them in his last season at Kent State, the Pirates wanted him to be a starting pitcher. So that's how they developed him.
Did he pitch in college?
Yeah, he was a closing pitcher.
Oh,
But he was an amazing
closer.
hitter, probably arguably the best in the country at the time. But the Pirates thought he was better suited as a starting pitcher just because of his body. So I think they tried having him hit one season, but in the minors, but the rest of the time they stuck him as a pitcher. So the fourth clue is that he's known as one of the biggest draft busts in recent Pirates history.
Oh,
That
Nate
could be a
knows it,
dead giveaway.
No,
if you guys know.
I'm down to a couple, but the one I'm thinking of, I don't know if he was drafted 8th.
All right, well, the last clue, if you guys are ready, that he had a 2-13 career record as a starting pitcher for the Pirates, the 9.20 ERA in his career. And that's his lifetime career.
Oh my God.
Was that the
Tough.
fifth
This
one?
is not an easy one unless you really know,
Yeah, I just like
was
my
that
memory
the
goes
last
back
guess?
to the 10s.
that was the
Or-
last. Yeah, that's the
Really?
last.
Or the last clue, I mean.
Yeah, the last clue. If you guys need me to repeat a clue, I can do that for you.
When
right.
first I thought maybe it was like Zach Duke, but that I know it's not him.
Zach Duke.
It's not Zach
I like
Duke.
Zach Duke.
Because Zach Duke wasn't like a complete bust.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a name. And he was a starting pitcher, right?
For us, yes. But we had to use him as a swing man because he wasn't very good at times.
Oh, I guess I can go first. It's either him or this other I'm thinking of, but
Okay.
I thought he was drafted first overall, but I said Brian Bullington.
Okay.
I don't know if that's it's either him or I can't remember his name, the other guy I'm thinking of, but
Can you let me know the other guy? Even if that's
no,
not
I
your
don't
guess.
remember his name.
Oh, okay.
I was he's the other draft bust. There's been a couple draft busts in that time by the Pirates.
What do you think, Peyton?
I don't have a name. I don't
It's
have a
definitely
name.
the other guy
You guys want
because
me to
he was.
say the answer?
I don't have it. I really
Yeah,
don't.
It
I
was
think
John
his
Van Benschoten.
John who?
Oh, no, it
John
wasn't.
Van Benschoten. You guys don't remember him?
Ben
No.
Shooten?
Ben
How do
Schoten.
you spell that?
Benschoten.
Never heard of him.
Really? I thought
I
you
think
guys
I've
would have
heard
known
of
him.
him.
No,
I think I heard of him,
no.
Look him
but
up. Look up his
I wasn't
college
even
stats on
thinking of him.
Baseball Cube. Was an incredible hitter, but we didn't want to make him a hitter.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I thought I was like, it might be Brian Bullington, but he was drafted I thought he was drafted first
He
overall by
was.
the
Yeah, he
Pirates.
was.
So then I was like, "Oh, crap." When you said 8th, I was like, "Oh, crap." So,
Yeah.
at
John
least kind
Van
of in the ballpark, I
Yeah.
guess.
All right. This
John
one.
Bullington
Van
was also bad.
Benschoten. Wow.
Yeah. Well, this last one, the 2010s, theoretically, he should be the most difficult because, you know, the average, like the Pirate fan from the last 20 years probably wouldn't guess this. But since you guys probably have more knowledge in the 2010s than you would in the 2000s, this might actually be easier if you guys know the timeline of this guy. So you guys ready for the last person? Right now, Peyton has a half-point lead over Nate.
That's gonna be the margin. That's gonna be
Yeah.
the deciding margin there. It's I have
All
a
right,
feeling.
you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, so the first clue is that this guy was never drafted. He was an international free agent.
Oh man.
The second clue is that he was a top 100 prospect from 2013 through 2015 with the Pirates. So all three
Top
playoff years,
100?
he was a top 100 prospect.
So he was in the minors 2013 to 2015 with the Pirates.
So he was in those 3
He was
years.
a
I'm not
top
going to
100
say how
prospect.
many years he was in the minors for.
Oh,
But
okay.
he was a top 100 prospect from
Oh,
2013 through 2015 as a Pirate.
hmm.
So the third clue is he was a second baseman for us, but he played outfield with other teams.
There's like 8 guys I'm trying to think of. I remember 2013 to 2015.
So you said he played second base for the Pirates?
Yes, primarily. That's where he was developed. That's where he brought him up as. Try to really use that 2013 through 2015 top 100 prospect to see when he may have been called up. You guys
I
ready for
think
the fourth clue?
what's just flooding my brain is that Neil Walker was our second baseman. So
He was, but there's a guy in our minor league
yeah.
system. So, number 4. He was a guy we refused to trade when we were a great, really good team. He was a prospect we hit like Josh Bell, which obviously it's not him, so I can say him. Like a guy like Josh Bell, we refused to trade him. This guy, we refused to trade as well.
Like in what time period did we refuse to trade him?
Whenever we were a really good
Like,
team, 2013 through
okay,
2015.
13.
Through 2015. Whenever we were looking at acquiring guys to help our team, we would not trade this guy. Honestly, it was probably a guy we could have traded for in a package with David Price, but we probably didn't. We refused to do that.
And you said he played outfield for other teams.
Correct. Whenever he was no longer a Pirate. You guys ready for the last clue?
Yeah.
Despite being untouchable, he only played 64 games for us across 2 seasons from 2016 through 2017 before being DFA'd. we just cut the bait on him a year or two after we deemed he was untouchable.
Oh my gosh.
My memory's terrible.
So he played 2016. All right. I have one guess.
I'll give you a small hint. He played a majority of the games for us in 2017 and actually became a starter. And I'll give you the team for the White Sox. He actually played a decent amount of games for the White Sox as a starting outfielder. Wasn't great, but
No, I had a guess, but it wasn't. He didn't play for the White Sox.
it was during 2017 he went to the White Sox.
Is he still in the league?
No, not in the MLB. I don't know if he's playing elsewhere in like Korea or something, but he's not in the MLB.
2017 White Sox.
Dude, this is like
And
crazy.
it was literally so. Whenever you
you're
guys
gonna say
remember,
that-
do you guys remember Gift and Gope?
Yeah,
We
Gift
brought him
and-
up, but
yeah.
then we sent him down. And another roster move we made while we sent Gift and Gope down was DFAing this guy.
I was gonna say Gift and Gope. That's what I was gonna write down.
Oh my god, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
So think
I
of
was
that
gonna say-
he's
timeline
not
where we,
what position did he play?
Gift and Gope
Because
was
he
a
was
middle
second base.
infielder.
Yeah.
But this guy
I was
was
gonna
also a middle infielder for us. But think 2017. Think of that roster. Think who we may have had on our opening day roster because he was on the opening day roster.
You're gonna
And he
say it, and we're gonna
started
be
at
like, "Oh my
second
gosh."
base.
He was primarily second base. But if you think of our
I
second
mean-
baseman at the time, obviously there were a couple guys that were going to play over him, Frazier and Harrison.
Harrison and Frazier. Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna say it, and we're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh." I can't believe I didn't get this. I just don't remember like 2017 White Sox. I don't remember anything about. There wasn't
Forget
anything memorable about
2017.
them.
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
Like-
honestly, that's a year that
I don't even
like,
remember.
Yeah,
They weren't
2017.
even.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. I was gonna say Pablo Reyes, but he was a little bit later. I thought he was like 17, 18.
Now he's
and he
still
wasn't
playing.
really- Yeah, but he's still. Yeah, he's playing. He's not. He was never with the White Sox.
All right, well, if you guys have an answer, let me know.
There's
You might have to
there's
cut,
nothing.
dude. You might have to cut some of this tape. I'm serious.
There's nothing happening up here
You're gonna
right
have
now.
to
It's
cut.
just,
This is taking a tape.
Make you
away.
guys look bad.
I mean, that doesn't. I mean, I
We
just
could
don't
do like
even.
put music in like 15 minutes later.
Yeah,
Someone finally came up with an answer.
yeah.
I think you should just say it because we're not. We could.
Wait,
be
okay,
sitting
wait.
here
Here's what I
forever.
want to know. What country is he? An
Dominican
international?
Republic. That's where he was born. That's where he was born in.
I just don't remember having any Dominican second baseman. I just White
I
Sox.
think you just. I think you just say it.
Were the
You guys
White
want me to
Sox
say it?
good in 2017,
What was that?
or were they terrible? The White Sox. What were
Pirates?
they? In
I don't
2017?
remember.
I don't think they were that good. I think they were like 70. I think they won like 70.
But it made sense they would take a flyer on a former top prospect, kind of like what the Angels did with Rowansi this year. It's basically the same exact thing.
I'm gonna be so frustrated when you say it, and I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh.
Guys, want me to say the answer?
I think you
No.
should say it.
No, Peyton's still
No.
thinking.
Give me like 2 more minutes, and if not, then just forget it. Dominican Republic.
I mean, there's not really much else I can say other than his
Yeah,
name.
there's nothing else.
Yeah, you did all you could, Jake.
I was trying to remember like 2017 White Sox. I just don't. Because I'm not gonna get it with the Pirates. I'm trying to think.
Did he play
No.
right, center, left?
He just played the outfield. I assume all over, but I want to say I saw him playing center field once, but I could be wrong.
Was he fast?
Was he fast?
Was he considered fast?
I'd say so. I don't really know, but I assume he had some speed.
Top 100 prospect.
Think of the guys from 2013 through 2015 that were in like kind of like trade rumors whenever we were good.
I have no answer. I'm just waiting
Nate
to.
gave up. I don't.
I gave up a
I
while
hate to
ago.
give up.
I gave up a while ago. I thought I just don't. I just can't think of who it is. Like, there's so many players that are like in my head right now, but none of them fit the criteria.
Yeah.
I should know, like 2017 White Sox. I'm just trying to think.
Well, I don't know if this probably isn't going to help, but and on MLB.com, he was a top 100 prospect from 2013 through 2015. On the other two lists, it was only 2013 where they named him a top 100 prospect. But he was still always like any top 3, no worse than top 5 prospect in our system during those years.
Payne's writing everybody down. He
Yeah.
remembers.
I can't even
in
write. I thought of
2017.
Jose Tavera, but it's not him. He was gone. He was gone long before that.
That's a good name though. Jose Tavera.
Jose Tavera.
I was thinking of. I just started thinking of any former Pirates players who
And then
played for the White Sox.
I thought of Pedro. Do you remember Pedro Siriaco? You guys remember that name?
Oh my gosh.
Siriaco. Wow.
It's not him though.
Yeah, that's a.
He wasn't
that's
even a
good
top
one,
100 prospect. Like, I don't even know who was our top 100 prospect.
The only Pirates players I remember playing for the White Sox, like it's not even within that time frame. Like I remember Melky Cabrera played for the White Sox. That was before.
He was a 2017 White Sox, I think.
Yeah. I guess I know Eric Gonzalez played for them after he was with the Pirates recently. Brian Goodwin played a little bit for them. I just that's more recent though. I don't remember like 2017 that played after he played with the Pirates. I'm just trying to think.
I mean, he was a big guy Huntington wanted to keep because of his win now and build for the future, but he wasn't patient with this guy, even though he refused to trade him. You literally traded him after half a year.
Yeah, you're gonna say the name, and we're going to just lose our minds.
Peyton's using 100% of his brain right now.
Peyton's rearing back.
Yeah, I give up.
All right, you guys want me to say the name? It was Alan Hansen.
Oh! No!
Alan Hansen.
Alan Hansen.
I don't remember him.
You don't remember Alan Hansen?
No.
Oh my
I don't remember
gosh.
that name. Alan Hansen?
Yes.
I didn't know he was
Okay, I would have never guessed that. I'm not even mad.
He was a top 100. I remember him, and I had to look it up to make sure, and he was.
Now he was.
I mean, I was like 9.
So,
like I didn't pay attention as much. Alan, how do you wait? Is it ALLA?
ALENHANSON.
Oh my gosh. I should have got that. I'm gonna be thinking about that.
I don't remember him at all. He played 20. He played okay. Yeah, he sucked.
We didn't give him many at bats. He averaged like 1.5 at bats per game.
That was cruel. That last one was cruel.
I had to make it difficult for you guys. I'm not gonna give you guys.
That was one I should have got that one. The other one, like the second one, I definitely wouldn't have got.
Well, Peyton is the winner with 0.5 to 0.
I told you, yeah, the Jeff King one was good.
Yeah.
Or futility. Every time we do these, we should do this like every. This is like fun though. We should do this like every episode.
You gotta do it like easy then hard. You gotta do more. You gotta do like easy, medium, and hard.
I got you.
I think
I just want to pick your guys' brain. I like making it really difficult just to see if you guys know these guys.
No, I agree, but I'm saying like you gotta give us some warm up. We gotta give us some, so that way we have some answers. So we don't look like complete morons.
I got you.
We should actually like this should be like a segment. We should do this.
Yeah.
I like.
What you gotta do is cut some of this out and be like, Nate gave up, but Pirate Peyton continued to. and then 10 minutes later, it's just like, I give up.
Yeah. That
I
one,
don't
I'm really
remember
kicking
that
myself.
name at all.
No, it's
Alan
all good.
Hansen.
But yeah, no, that was the little trivia segment for the episode I'm hosting. But Peyton, you have an announcement you want to make, so let's hear it.
Oh, that's right, I did. Yeah, I forgot we were going crazy after that last trivia question. Nate couldn't believe he didn't get it. But anyway, yeah. Announcement. June 25th and 26th. This is my vacation for the year. I am going to my first ever Pirates Road games, going down to Great American Ballpark to see the Reds take on the Pirates, take on the Reds. So if anyone's in Cincinnati, let me know. I'll give you a shout out. But we might this is just the because I know Nate's on vacation and Jake's gonna be on vacation, so we'll be gone for a couple weeks. But I may we'll talk about it, providing some content from Cincinnati, kind of giving a review of Great American Ballpark, taking in the game. I could definitely see Pirate Peyton giving a little review of Great American on the BCS podcast. So be on the lookout for that.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. But do you guys have anything else you want to add before we conclude this episode?
Let's go Bucks.
I think that's all. Go Bucks.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This was the BCS podcast. I hope you guys liked our little insight about, it was mainly a Pirates episode. So hope you guys like our little insight. Can't wait for the rest of the season to unfold. It's going to be curious. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.